What's going on, big brother? Can you hear me clearly?
I could hear you clearly now. You must have got you a new cell phone and threw that old wacky one you had away, man.
No, you know
Crazy
how
cell
this
phone.
modern technology is, and I'm old fashioned trying to get myself alerted. But how you feeling today?
I'm doing well, but I cannot wait to get into our subject because we're going to be talking about something that most of us, we kind of hint at it, but we need to dig deep, slow it down, and really take our time and talk about it. But before we do that, I want to welcome all of those who are watching Real Conversations with Adults Only with Chazz and myself. This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So please set your calendar to that because we appreciate you guys watching us. And Chaz, I want to just jump off here by saying you had a good time last Wednesday. I see you had a guest on your show.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to talk about that. We really appreciate Brother Rashid, who came on last week. He gave us some good knowledge. He was very well spoken. I mean, he didn't hold anything back. He wasn't, tiptoeing around questions. This man was just
Yeah.
straight up out front, and he let us know. So we hope to have that brother back on again last week. Did you enjoy him as well?
Yeah, I did. I did. He's a wonderful gentleman. In fact, I haven't called him since then, but I'm going to call him and let him know how much I still appreciate what he did for us because
Yeah.
that's important. I see we got two Jahis on here now. I got your name is Jahi and my name is Jahi. Man, you need to leave
Man,
that. You need to leave that stuff alone, Taj, man. That's crazy, man. So
I,
tonight's
I would
subject.
I would fix it the next time. But did you want to go ahead and log into it as far as our questions?
Well, yeah, let's talk about our subject. First of all, tonight's subject is going to be divided. We are falling. And basically, we're talking about us as a people, Chaz. There's a lot of separation within our
Yes.
race, and we need to talk about what are those things that are dividing us. What's keeping us apart? What's breaking us down to where we are not on the same page? And we know that everybody will never be on the same page. But at the
Yeah.
same time, many of us, after what we've been through, we shouldn't allow certain things to divide us. And so that's what
Right.
we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the barriers that come between us as a people. And so let's talk about when we say barrier, what do we mean by that?
The definition of a barrier is a mindset or behavior that we allow to stop us from achieving progress or unity. And that can be anything, especially in the race. As African Americans, some of us who are light skinned feel like we're better than the dark skin, or some of the dark skin are better, feel like they're better than the light skin. That's a huge barrier. I think money is a barrier as well. I mean, some of us to get a little money instead of helping, giving back to the community, we want to pocket it. We want to go out, and there's nothing wrong with buying things, which we should, but we don't like to share and help the others who are less fortunate. So I would say my main two would be the money and the race are the two barriers that really stop us from progressing. Because especially when we get a promotion, we get something big, we feel like we've arrived and we feel like we're better than others.
Yeah, and that barrier that you're talking about is very is it's stifling us. It's very crucial that we talk about these barriers because it's a mindset. And when you look at them, Chaz, the barriers themselves are really not big, but we
Right.
make them big by how we push them out there, and it also stifles us from growing, from being with one another. And we just need tonight to take our time and basically go through each one of these barriers. And if anyone's out there watching this, if you could think of any barriers that you know of, that's basically stopping us from being apart, being together, I should say. We're going to ask you to just kind of chime in or ask us questions because we've got to talk about this, Chaz. So let's start talking about what are some of the barriers.
Barrier A, the crabs in a barrel mentality, always pulling or putting each other down. Exactly. When there's a person who used to be what you call quote unquote poor in the neighborhood, they get a little money, they get out. People, 9 times out of 10, if you go back to that brother's neighborhood, they're going to say, oh, he wasn't nothing but sorry, or he did dope, or he did this, and he did that. Instead of elevating that man, he should try to get himself out of that position if he's in a terrible neighborhood. But most of the time, when you go back and you ask the neighbors about that brother, it's nothing but nonsense. It's nothing but chaos. It's nothing but people just tearing the brother down. And I really, really hate that. It's like when we see others succeed, we just don't like it because I guess it's not us.
Usher told us this a long time ago in a song, but it was about a woman. But he said, "You got it bad." We have that bad, that mentality. We have really bad because a lot of us we are allowing our mindset to always put each other down. Or if someone makes it, as you just eloquently said, if someone makes it, some of us, we try to talk negatively or speak down about that person's success or that person's rise. And we got to stop that, Chazz. And many of us that's watching this broadcast, if we're doing these things, I would submit to you that we stop it, because this barrier, this crabs in a barrel mentality, Chaz, it's been going around for a long time. And I know some of the audience, they know people like that. And I hope that we're not like that, because we got to check that, because that's what's really stopping us. And that's a block. It's a roadblock that's stopping us from progressing.
And speaking of the audience, we got a couple who chimed in. Let's go ahead and welcome our guest. Sister Barbara, she fires in here. She says, Hotep Kings, we appreciate her. Sister Marie, she's in the building. She says, Hotep family, we appreciate her. Sister Barbara says, jealousy and ignorance. We always think if our neighbor gets a new car, we got to go in debt. Basically, we can't afford it. And I'm going to stop right there, because, and I'll take it a step further. Normally when that happens, we'll say, I guarantee you in 5 or 6 months, he's going to get it repossessed. He can't afford that. He took a loan out to get that car, whatever the case is. But like she said, we try to go out and match wits when it's not about that. If that brother or sister got a new whip, good for them. But for us to try to keep matching wits, and like I said last week or the week before, one of y'all is going to run out of money. So you can't keep this up. If he got it, be good. I mean, be grateful and happy for him. Sister Barbara comes in here one more time. She says, we lack unity big time. This is true. We cannot come together. And whenever we do, normally it's chaos, there's fights, there's drama. And it's like we can't be civil, even at funerals. I know you've seen some funerals where instead of grieving that person who just passed away, 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of chaos about who left such and such money, and others feel like they got screwed over. So it's like this sister said, we don't have any unity. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, that's well said. You guys are laying it out there. I'll just continue to learn, because that's excellent what you just said.
Okay, as we move on to barrier B, the so-called generational gaps, older people versus younger mentality instead of collaborating together. And this is a huge one, because a lot of the elders in the community, they feel like because they've been on this earth for 50, 60, 70 years, they're so much smarter, they got so much more wisdom. In some cases, that is true, but they take that wisdom and they look down upon the youth. They talk about them, and the youth feel the same way. The youth feel like we're younger. We feel like we got more modern technology. We feel like we got all the answers, and we feel like the older people don't know what they're talking about, and they're outdated. So these gaps, instead of saying, you know what, I'll take your information, you take my information, and let's come together. But normally it's some kind of divide, because the older people feel like they're better than the younger people.
Yeah, and when you look at it, Chaz, we're all catching chaos in our lives based upon racism, sexism, the race card that has been played against us for so many years. So the race card doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. It's going to affect all of us. And so we got to stop pitting the old against the young or the youngest against the old, because what you're looking at now is a group of people who have basically lost their minds and don't act civil, because if you think about it, there's no such thing as a generational gap. A person may be older than another person, but that's not a gap, because you're still being degraded. You're still being ostracized. You're still being the last hired rather the first fired. You're still the one that's not, getting employment, gainful employment. So it's not about that generational gap, but we have built that up because we've been taught that. And many of us are so ignorant, and I don't mean it to come down on us. It's just that we don't know, and we don't want to know that we're in a war, and we need to start looking at these barriers and breaking them down so we can collaborate, as this point is saying, so we can work together and move our people in a positive direction, man.
Yeah, and the cockiness. Once again, if you have information, that's fine. But I get frustrated because it's the cockiness. I feel like I'm using, for example, because I'm younger, I feel like I have more knowledge than you, instead of just saying, you know what, it doesn't matter. I mean, I have a little information, you can use it. But it's like we take what we have, or the little that we think we have, and we look down upon others. And that's where most of the friction is coming from, because of the way that you handle the information that you have. Barrier C, unhealed pain, hurt people hurting people. Now, this is something we could probably stay on for the whole broadcast. People who have been hurt from when they were teenagers or kids, middle school, high school, whatever the case is, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to let this go. We let that pain build up in us for 20, 30, 40 years. We bump into that individual. And the first thing you say, I remember what you did to me in elementary. Bro, that was in what, third or fourth grade, and you still holding on to that? We almost 60, 70 years old, and you still holding on to this? I mean, this is what you call unhealed pain. It's okay to dwell on it in the moment, but you got to get past that, brother.
Yeah, you do. And you also have to look at how the system in which we live in has hurt all of us. And it continues to hurt us. And we don't know how to deal with it. So we lash out at each other. And we're really angry with other barriers as opposed to addressing those barriers and trying to make sure that we not allow those barriers to stifle us, as I keep using the word stifle because it stops us right in our tracks. But a lot of us are hurting, Chaz, as you just said as well, from our childhood. A lot of us are hurting from some things that happened to us. Maybe there was a relationship that somebody was in, and we'll talk about that later on, I'm sure. But someone was in a relationship and it didn't go the way they wanted it to go, or they really wanted a job and they didn't get that job, and they held on to that pain, and now they're miserable. So they run to these buildings to try to get soothed. They want to be soothed in their heart, but it doesn't work. That's why nothing seems to work, because hurt people are hurting other people, and we've got to stop that. We've got to stop it right now.
Yeah. We got another comment. We appreciate it. Sister Barbara Fires in here. She says, teach that. Hurting people hurt people. So she's agreeing with what we're saying, and we really appreciate that comment. As we move on to letter D here, barrier D, ongoing social media arguments. Now, this is the biggest one that I get frustrated with. It's because, for the most part, on social media, you're going to see a person who's a hardcore Democrat and a hardcore Republican going at it. Now, here's the thing, and I know you don't agree with this. I've always said they're both on the same team, no matter how you sugarcoat, no matter what color, what flag. All of these people, when you think about it, I really believe that these are people who are all on the same team. They get on TV and act like they're, enemies and things like that.
Yeah.
Are basically on the same team, and they trick us year after year. You get our little votes, and nothing ever gets done. And I'm sick of that. And then the other one is the body image. A lot of us, it's nothing wrong with working out. It's nothing wrong with exercise, but there's shortcuts. And a lot of these influencers aren't telling you. They're taking all these Ozempic, all this crap, and they're acting like the exercises that they're doing are actually beneficial, which they are, but they're not telling you that they're cheating. They're taking other things to basically make them look more enhanced. But the ongoing social media arguments, man, it is insane. It never fails whenever the election time is here. I mean, the Republicans and Democrats go at it. The fans do, left and right.
Yeah, it's so sad because what you look at on the screen, these are basically barriers that divide us. So black people, we're arguing with each other. And I do agree with you. You said I may not agree with you. I agree with you 100% about how both of this bird you see have two arms. One arm is a Republican, the other arm is a Democrat, but they're both pretty much on the same bird, you see. So, but what I wanted to say about this ongoing social media argument, if you think about it, Chaz, and we do want to slow it down tonight, because many of us, we air our grievances out on social media. Black people are going at each other like little children. We just have so many problems, and yet we use this social media to iron out our issues, and that's not the place to do it. That's a barrier. And I'm going to tell you now, Chaz, not only that, I've seen people get so hooked on social media and television and our cell phones that it's basically taking their minds away from them. So
Wow.
instead of them helping us fight the fight that we're in, they're too busy, got a phone stuck up to their nose because they want to always see if they've missed the latest fad, the latest whatever. And it's terrible, man, because we've got to stop allowing this social media to do us this way. You can't get a serious conversation anymore out of many of us because that's all we know. All we think about. We go to bed with it. We wake up with it. And it's like we're just arguing on social media every day. Look at the rappers beefing against each other. Look at the sports athletes beefing against each other. Everybody's against each other on social media. And this is what we've come to. And that's why this barrier here, ongoing social media arguments, is killing us. It really is.
Yep, and on the screen here, now I'm just using this for example. I'm just going to say that this brother right here, the African American guy, he's a Republican, and his sister that he's arguing or shouting at, she's a Democrat, and they do not believe in each other's philosophies. They can't come to a mutual agreement. They both feel like they're right, and they both are just going haywire. And I wanted to upload one more here that we have here. Look at this divide: black men versus black women. This is another one that's on social media. I know a lot of us see it here and there, but look at this divide. Instead of saying, you know what, we both are humans, no matter where you work, no matter where I work, we're humans. But there's some kind of divide going on, because you can see it from this image.
Yeah, the way they have allowed us to dislike one another, and it's a situation where grown people, speaking of us, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. But see, we don't like broadcasts like this, because these are the types of broadcasts that challenge us to do better. We want someone to tell us what we want to hear. We want
Right.
someone to stroke our image. We want someone to be politically correct when the words they use. We want someone that's going to make us feel good and not challenge us. But if you open up your eyes, you will see we are in trouble today as a people. And
Yeah.
this is why a lot of people don't want to sit down and do something about it. And what our children do, they see that, they repeat it, and then you have this ongoing social media arguments that happens all of our lives, and we're all in the same boat. Malcolm X told us that a long time ago. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Everybody is catching hell in the United States if you look like us. So
Yeah.
we shouldn't allow that. And so we harp on that. So I see on the screen, you got the black men on one side, the black women on the other side, and they really think they're doing something. But because they've been misguided into thinking that the war is against each other, the war is against the system and the people that have put us in the position we're in. But instead of dealing with that, we're then turned on ourselves, and now we're fighting amongst ourselves, eating each other up. I have not seen in all my days so many black men who down black women and vice versa. And
Yeah.
this doesn't make any sense, but it shows how foolish the mind is. And
Yeah.
that's why you got to have adults only conversations. You got to have real conversations, because these are the conversations that's going to bring these truths out and challenge us so that we all can do a better job instead of running and hiding behind a cell phone.
And you hit on a good point, brother. And I'm going to get back to the program as always. But you just talked about how we don't see normally when you look at these arguments, like you just said on social media, if they can really think critically and think for themselves, they're so naive or they're so passive, they can't see that the beef, like you said, is not against man and woman. It's the people in the system who are corrupt, who is putting this information out there, and it's making us divide more and more. But I guess, like I said, a lot of people, they refuse to see it.
Yeah.
As we move on to the next part here, it says, someone may ask, what's wrong with spending all my time on social media, TV, sports, and entertainment? And
I'd
here's
love to answer that. I would love to answer that, because you put this on here, which we can talk about, but go back to the one before that one. Yeah, I want to give my take on this one. Someone may ask, what's wrong with spending all my time on social media, TV, sports, and entertainment? What's wrong with it, Chaz, is it makes you sick mentally. It makes you suffer from what is called aphasia. It makes the brain weak to where the brain can't function the way the brain should function. You're spending all of your time on social media and you don't do anything else to uplift your mindset. You don't
right.
have thought, you don't have lofty ideologies, and you don't read books, you don't read magazines and things that our ancestors have written for us to learn to fight against this war. Spending all of our time on social media make it dumbs us down. That's what's wrong with it. You can't spend your time on what's going on with us as a people if you're spending all your time sticking your nose and sticking my nose in a phone or on a TV or watching somebody kick a ball, catch a ball, throw a ball, hit a ball. Chaz, people shouldn't even have that mindset about what's wrong with spending. Listen to it. What's wrong with spending all my time? You should never spend all your time doing one thing, especially social media. It makes you weak mentally. It
Yeah.
doesn't give you the opportunity to express yourself. And that's what's wrong with many of us, the young and the old alike. But I always give the young a pass because they're still maturing, they're going through life. But us old heads, We ought to be ashamed of ourselves, Chaz. And I'm gonna say this, and I'll turn it back over to you because I know I'm going on and on. But I'm gonna stop after this. You know what this tells me when
What's
someone is
that?
spending all their time on social media?
What's that?
It tells me that they're lonely.
Mm.
It tells me that they're lonely. They don't have a life, Chaz. And this has become their fantasy, you see. So now they begin to live in this cell phone. They begin to live on the television. They begin to live in all of this fantasy when the reality is you are not a person who has learned how to think and critically think through what you're dealing with. And so you turn to a device, and that device has crippled and corrupted the soul of mankind, especially African Americans. And it divides us because that's a barrier that stops us from getting together. Because when I want you to get with me to fight injustice, you too busy with your head in a cell phone.
Yeah, and my thing is where I get frustrated is that if you think about it, we cannot think for ourselves. Now, when we get on social media, depending on what we're looking up, normally, if we're looking at a certain person, and I'm just throwing this guy's name out here, for example, I don't care for Tucker Carlson. I never will. I'm just using him as an example, okay? There's people, whatever he says, they agree with it. This man could be wrong as two left shoes, but because he's on Fox, because he's a Republican, or because this is who this person loves and they idolize, they can't say, you know what, in this instance, I'm normally with Tucker, but in this case, he's wrong. Candace Owens, all of them. If you like, for example, if you like certain individuals, that's okay. You can like them, but it's like whatever they say, they always right. You never push back. You never ever say for 1 second, wait a minute, Tucker, you're wrong. Now, once again, I'm using him for an example, but it's people like that for all these politicians, Biden, Trump, whatever they say, they always agree with it and they never push back. That's my problem with social media, is that we stop thinking for ourselves, and whoever the content creator we look at, we always, for the most part, I would say 80% of the time we agree with that individual.
Well, Chaz, don't leave the table undone. Let's make the whole table. Let's put the whole table out there now, because what you just said is true. But let's bring it close to home now, because we
Okay.
don't have to rush through this tonight. Let's
Okay.
bring it closer to home. What about the African American content creators? See, a lot of us like them too. And you know, I like my brothers and sisters that are conscious. The Umar Johnsons, you
Yeah.
know, all of the brothers and sisters that's out there doing some positive things, or at least trying or what have you. So we have those people, but we got, even with you and I, there are some people that watch this religiously, but don't watch us all the time. Do what we're saying to make your life better. See, challenge us when we're wrong.
Right.
Confront us when we're wrong. Tell
Right.
us when we're wrong. Encourage us. But see, many of us, we got those same people that we look at all the time. No matter what they do, they can do no wrong. And I
Right.
mentioned Brother Umar Johnson, but there are so many other content creators that's on Facebook, YouTube, and they have their own platform. And a lot of us, what you doing? I got to tune in to so and so. I got to tune into them, you know, and they never disagree with them. They, even the religious, which we're going to get to, and that's probably going to take the rest of our time when we talk about how religion has divided us. But you know, we listen to these people every week. We listen to these people they spew all this crap, and we don't even think for. Now we're like zombies. Whatever they
Mm.
said, like you said, Chaz, whatever they said, we believe them. We never challenge them. We never stop to think. And this has become a serious issue because
Yes.
it's not just happening in politics, it's happening in religion, it's happening in life, it's
Right.
happening in business, it's happening in education, it's happening in every facet of life. So, whatever you and I say, they should check what we say,
Right.
challenge what we say. But a
Right.
lot of people will not do that. It's just adults only, John Chaz. We don't listen to what they say. Whatever they say is right. And but some of these things they know is right, Chaz. But we have a sick group of people, and I don't think we want to accept that right now.
We definitely do. Let's not forget about our guests. We got a couple more people who fired in here. Sister Barbara chimes in and says, what does it take for us to become united? I'll answer that real quick. It takes for people, no matter what race, black, white, Jap, Chinese, to be sober-minded and come together and say, you know what? If I don't agree with what you agree, I'm going to at least listen to you without, wanting to fight, without wanting to go off or go ballistic on you. And now she's talking about being united as African Americans or blacks as a whole. I would say listening to each other once again without always trying to make a show or make a scene out of whatever's going on. Do you have any? take on that?
Yeah, I want to. You threw one strike. I'm gonna throw another strike in here too. I'm pitching. This is a fastball. I'm gonna throw. This is a real fastball. So watch it. I don't want it to go by too fast.
Okay.
What it takes for us to become united is to get rid of that mental slavery. There's a mindset that adults have in the United States of America, and our minds have been infiltrated by the European indoctrination. And
Okay.
because we don't know how to think, this mind that has been given to us that we never tested the mind, we've accepted it as kids. And so we will never become united because our thoughts are not gathered. We don't have any banks, we don't have any hospitals, we don't have any major stores, we don't have anything as a people. So we can't be united because we're giving all of our resources and our money and our time to other things, which
Right.
separates us. And so this is what is going on right now. And a lot of us don't want to ask the question that the sister asks, which is, what does it take for us to become united? Get off that cell phone, start challenging your own self, start looking at how to live, start putting principles into practice, start treating people the right way, start opening up your businesses, start supporting black businesses, start helping black art, start dealing with black culture, start talking about identity. This is what it's going to take, Chazz. But a lot of us don't want this because our minds have been so infiltrated, we don't know how to become united.
Well said. Brother Ray fires in here. He says, hello, good people. We appreciate him as always. He fires back here again. He says, right, nothing should take all your time. That is addiction. That's exactly right. You got to learn how to portion it. Spend 20 minutes here, stop, maybe an hour later, go back at it. But like he said, it shouldn't take all our time. When it takes all your time, where you're neglecting work, you're neglecting kids, you're neglecting your housework, you're neglecting everything, that's when it's a serious addiction.
Chaz, they said it says, together we stand and divided we fall.
Yeah.
Well, we're falling. We're not. We it's not we fall. We are falling as a people, but we don't want to acknowledge that. We want to act like together we're standing, or divided we're going to fall. We're already falling, but we don't want to acknowledge that we have fallen. And a lot of us can't get up because we're so sick. And we don't like to hear guys like you and I and other people that are commenting and other podcasts. But this is love talk, but they don't get it because they don't want to hear this, Chaz. They rather
Yeah.
hear people sing to them, dance for them, make them laugh. And that's the problem with us as a people. We don't have enough guts to stomach a broadcast that's going to be honest about where we are and how we are basically falling because there's too much division among us.
And Brother Ray chimes in one more time. He says, and everything and everyone, you should see their good quality, shortcomings, and bad qualities. Absolutely agree. Like we said, there's people who are going to be right sometimes, but when they're wrong, call them out. You don't have to disagree with it. And I'm going to say this real quick and we'll go back to the program as always. But I think, brother, what our problem is, because these people on most of the time, they're on TV, they have a big platform, they have a lot of followers. We automatically just think because they're on TV and have a lot of followers and money, that automatically means they're untouchable. I think that's what most of it is. But if they're casual guys like you and myself, because we're not on TV like CNN and MSNBC, they're not going to take what we say seriously because we're not sponsored by these big mega companies. Now, as we go back, it says, it divides your focus and energy on something that doesn't allow you to spend quality time on addressing more important needs by our people. Now, this is a previous question to where we talked about, for a person to say, well, what's wrong with me spending all my time on social media? Well, like we said, there's other things that are more important that we should be doing. For example, and I keep going back to this, in the community or checking on the elders. There's so many other things that we could be doing, trying to find work. But when we constantly live on social media and we abandon the things that we're supposed to do, that's when the problems start to come in.
And it's a barrier, Chaz. It's a barrier. It divides us. Look at the crawl, everyone. It says, divided we are falling. The barriers among us. Social media is a barrier because it divides us. I don't want to watch another show that's teaching truth because I'd rather watch this show. I don't want to follow this person because I didn't fell in love with this other person's personality on social media. So it's dividing us. And this is what we're trying to say. Tonight's broadcast is talking about barriers that's dividing us. And that's what Chazz and I are looking at. We're taking barriers that's dividing us, and we're trying to encourage us not to allow those barriers to divide us. This is basic. This is fundamental, and it's saying it's plain.
We got some more comments in. Y'all bumping tonight. We appreciate the feedback. My sister Barbara, she fires in here. She says, kick, throw, hit a ball. I know some coons that does that now. And, okay, we appreciate that. Inuji fires in here. She says, peace and blessings, fam. We appreciate her for firing in here. And then Brother Ray fires in here. He says, not holding leaders that you follow and admire feet to the fire is occultist. Yeah, we and I guess Brother Ray, he's saying what we're saying. No matter how much money they have, no matter who they are on TV, no matter what they represent, Democrat, Republican, sports figure, whoever, you got to call these people out. You can't be so shallow and naive and silly and gullible to whatever they say. You never fact check them. You never ever criticize them. It's like these people are saints and they can do no wrong. I mean, this is terrible.
Yeah, that's true. Don't take his comment down, because tonight's broadcast is divided we are falling. What are some of the barriers that are dividing us? And Brother Raymond says this is a barrier. Not holding leaders that you follow and admire. He's right, because we fell in love with them. We don't hold their feet to the fire. It's occultist. Now, what I'm saying is what he's saying. We have not drawn the line in the sand, Chazz. We have to draw the line in the sand and say, I'm not going to overstep these boundaries, and neither are you. We don't draw lines in the sand, so we let people do anything. These leaders treat us any kind of way, and we don't hold them accountable. And he's right. And I don't care what kind of leader it is. It can be an entertainer. It can be an athlete. It could be a religious leader. It could be a movie star. It could be anyone. We don't hold our leaders' feet to the fire, and so they treat us any kind of way, and we deserve what we get because we're not standing up for what we should be doing. And so that's what's dividing us.
Yeah, and I'm going to say one more thing real quick. Like, I tried to tell people about this around 2018 to 2019, years ago, about Hillary Clinton, Ellen DeGeneres. All these people were doing some heinous things. Now, I did my own little research, and I had to double and fact check. But people thought that I was crazy. They called me loony. They called me crazy out of my mind. When I told people what some of these things are doing, now that the news tells them this on TV, now all of a sudden, you right, brother, you tried to tell me. It shouldn't take the news to tell you these things when I'm giving you the facts and the evidence, but you look at me and call me crazy. But when the news said, okay, the news is right. That is my whole issue with this whole thing. Now, as we move on to the other one here, it says, no, unity isn't what we lack. It's what's keeping, it's what we lack. It's what keep choosing to divide us. Unity. And like I said, I keep going back to the fact that we just don't know how to basically be around each other. It's always an imbecile, a fool, just somebody doing something to cause ruckus, to cause problems, to cause drama. And as a black man or a black woman, we got so much against us. The government, the police, all these entities are against us. And then once again, we try to come together. Here our own brothers and sisters are tearing us down as well.
This is profound, this note. It says unity isn't what we lack. This is beautiful. Then it says it's what we keep choosing to divide us. See, in other words, we're allowing this, Chazz. We're allowing our separation to draw walls between us. I'm allowing myself to not be around you because I don't like how you wear your hair. I'm allowing myself to not want to listen to what you have to say because you're not saying it like some of my other friends. See, I'm allowing myself to not shop at your store because you may not have the certain bread that I want. And instead of me sacrificing, I'd rather go to other people and give them my money. So unity isn't what we lack, Chazz. It's what we keep choosing. We're allowing this. It's like we're making choices to be separated. So that's why we're divided. Yes, we have other entities that's coming at us. And you mentioned a few of them. But a lot of it is we choose this. Some people don't want to watch broadcasts that's going to teach them. So they're choosing that. Some people rather watch soap operas, wrestling, talk shows, game shows, singing, reality TV. Some people don't want unity, and we have to move on. But the bottom line is these are decisions that we're choosing, and that's a shame on us to be that way.
Barrier E, colorism, favoring lighter skin over darker skin or vice versa. Now, this has been around ever since I was on as a little elementary kid, as far as people who are light skinned are talking down on people who are dark. or people who are dark feel like they're better than people who are light skinned. I mean, this is this twisted mentality. Anytime where you favor a certain skin color, and you make that because they're more what we think that they're less than, or they're less human because of a skin tone that we can't even help. We can't help how we're created. But this is just a terrible thing that's been going on, and it's going to continue to go on. You even see people on the news and TV where they're getting these things where they're going to these tanning booths and getting all this stuff done to
Bleaching
look
cream.
lighter, to look darker. I think brother Michael Jackson, he did it. I mean, this is some stuff that it's just crazy.
And we got to go to the source of that, because I'm glad you put the icing on the cake. But we got to go to the source of that. The question is, who taught us to dislike our pigmentation? See, this goes back way before. This goes back, Chazz. This goes to where many of us have allowed Europeans to make us feel less than because of our hue. And so now we've taken the same thing and we put it on other people that look like us. So what that basically says is we're trying to be more white. So the lighter we are, we think we're white. We think we're closer to white. And so we talk about people who are darker when we don't realize that this is a con, this is a game. And we got to stop this, because what's happening is it's dividing us, and we will never be able to unite because we're still looking at someone's pigmentation. We should have learned a long time ago how they treated us and continue to treat us. That's not a good thing. But we
Right.
turn right around and do the same thing to other people because somebody's high yellow. They think they're better than somebody because they're dark. This is ridiculous, Chazz, and this must stop.
Yeah, and on the screen now, I like to put my own little twist here, but I'm just using this sister here. She may have emailed a guy on one of these dating sites or what have you, and the brother found out that she wasn't dark enough. And since she found out she's not dark enough, she just going ballistic on this picture. She is fuming. She is furious. She is just full on this picture, And this is the kind of stuff that we deal with, even for the people who try to do like the what's the show called where they go American Idol. I believe all this stuff is all intertwined here, to where if you're not a certain skin color, then a lot of people they don't want to deal with you, and that's sad. We got a couple more comments that fired in here. Brother Ray, he says, never fear standing alone in the light of righteousness. And see, with that comment, that's spot on. But see, here's the thing, Brother Ray. All it takes is for someone from the higher ups, or just people in general, to threaten our lives or take away what we do for a living. So when you calculate those two things and you say, stand up for what's right, they're not going to do it, because when you threaten their livelihood and you threaten their lives, 9 times out of 10, they're going to run and hide and tuck their tail behind their behinds, as they say. Brother Ray fires in here. He says, colorism is a colonized mind programming. And Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, y'all fired up tonight. Keep it coming with truth and power. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. I see you got your little grin on. Did you have anything on that or no?
No, I'm enjoying the broadcast. Keep reading.
Brother Ray Firestone, he says, colorism had me at a point in my life regretting I was light skinned. Not anymore, though. And that's it. You live and you learn. Even though Brother Ray said at one point it did have him twisted, it did have him thinking and looking and feeling a certain way. But he said, now, you know what? I've learned my lesson. Let me clean myself off and let me get out of this mindset. And that's the thing. When you learn, when you know that you're wrong, don't stay in that mind frame. You got to get up and keep it going. Okay, as we go into letter F here. Barrier F, different belief systems, religious ideology, causing division instead of dialogue. I'll let you take that one because you said earlier you've been waiting on that one, so go ahead.
Yeah, I've been salivating on this one, so I'm going to slow it down on this one. This, to me, in my estimation, this is one of the biggest barriers. There are many barriers that we face, but this is one of the biggest barriers that we face as a people.
Okay.
We have allowed religious ideology to cause division instead of dialogue. We have been taught that first of all, let me set the record straight.
Okay.
I believe in my heart that if a person is into a religion, whether I agree or disagree is not the point. What I'm trying to say is that's something that's supposed to help that person. They follow commandments, they follow principles, they follow precepts. I don't care whether it's Islam, I don't care whether it's Christianity, I don't care whether it's Judaism. The older I get, the more I see in a nutshell, that's a good thing because that person is looking to do the right thing in life with principles, and I'll appreciate that. What I'm talking about, though, Chaz, is this. When that religion tells you to stay away from other people, especially black people, that's trying to do the right thing to help us as a people, when that religion tells you to ostracize other people, when that religion tells you to look down on other people, when that religion tells you not to spend your money with other people that look like you, when that religion tells you that you're better than other people, when that religion tells you that you have all the answers and no one else has the answers. See, this is what I'm talking about. These different belief systems have destroyed us, brothers and sisters in households, mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, children. They have separated themselves because somebody believes in this, somebody believes in that. And it's a sickness. It's a serious sickness. It's a mental sickness. Christians hate Muslims.
Yeah.
Muslims dislike Christians. Jews don't like this. And so this is what has happened to us. And instead of looking at it objectively, like I'm saying, which basically is you believe what you want to believe because I'm here to help people that look like me because I don't care what you believe. If you look like us, you're still going to be catching hell socially, systematically, systemically, and that's what we should be talking about. So no one should be pushing their beliefs on other people to downgrade them, to make them and all these and I'll turn it over to you after I say this. Promise I will.
Go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
if you look in the Bible, if you look in the Quran, if you look in the Tripitaka, if you look into any book that someone calls a holy book, I promise you there's something in that book that tells you how to treat people fairly and right. I know that. And I haven't read all of them, but I know there's something in there that teaches us how to treat people. But yet we look at this and we hold it up, regardless of where we got it from, whether it was from the white man, from the black man, or from the red man, or from the blue man. We have destroyed a nation based upon religious ideology. And this is why Muslims, they will not, some of them, they cannot stand people who don't believe like them. There are some Christians who despise Muslims. There are some people who won't even speak to you because when you tell them what you believe. And this has separated us. This has divided us. And I could talk about this till the cows come home. And the people that's watching this broadcast, you don't have to agree with me. But you
Yeah.
know I'm telling the truth because many of you go to places where they even tell you some women can't even date men because they say if that man is not of the same faith, they say that you are unequally yoked. But you'll
Yeah.
take your same money and give it to people that are racist and spend your livelihood with them, and you don't even look at that as being unequally yoked. Don't get me started, Chaz. Please say something about this.
That's why I'm laughing because I could tell you get wired up, but you are absolutely right. And here's the thing where I am with it. When I ask people sometime when I'm out and about or at the gym, it doesn't always have to be a debate to where not like me and you, we're having a civil debate. Most of the time, a lot of people are so far deep into their faith, they don't want to hear others. They start the fights, it starts the chaos and ruckus. And that's my thing. If you're a Muslim, okay. If you're a Christian, okay. If you're a New Ager, okay. But it's to the point to where we can't listen to each other's ideologies, try to match wits fairly without putting each other down and without causing a scene. Now, like I said, you hit a good point where you said that in some books they have where if you call yourself unequally yoked, you can't date because a person's a Christian, the other one's an atheist. You know, here's my thing about it. I believe that at the end of the day, we have to answer to someone at the end of this life. I just don't think that we can live a life and then this just nothing. But see, now we may not agree on that. That's just where I am with it. Now, there's some that say, you know, when you die, that's it. But my thing is just having a civil conversation without, like I said, causing a scene or causing me and you. I'm not talking to you, brother, because you're a Muslim or something, or you believe in Buddha or Allah. That's the thing that really frustrates me.
Yeah, and it's the division, and it's causing division, and that's what you're saying. It causes division. Some people can't. Some people can't say if we're talking and you believe something and I believe something else. If I'm an atheist and I say, well, I don't believe that. Instead of people saying, well, that's your opinion. Okay, we still can go out and have coffee, drink water, and go work out. But now we don't want to speak because did you hear what he said? This guy doesn't even believe. He's crazy. So now we isolate that person. We stereotype that person. And the bottom line is, All these are man-made religions. And I'm not trying to come down on them. When I say man-made, I'm saying somebody gave words that was written down. Nobody opened up the sky and wrote any words. All these came from men, and a lot of us don't want to accept that. So I'm not trying to even cause division in what I'm saying. I'm trying to
Right.
get to a point. And the point
Yeah.
I'm getting to is, as we get older, we should know better, because a person doesn't think the same way we think. It should not cause division. We have too many other issues right now that's going against us, that we should be dealing with, instead of being angry with you because you believe that a man jumped over the moon. I mean, this is nonsense, man.
Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, I love black people who love black people. That's good, brother. Share the love. That's absolutely right. Now he comes in here again. He says, religion is a device of division. It happens that way because, once again, we can't be mutual. Like I just said earlier, I'm a Christian, you're an atheist. We let that tear us apart. Like you just said, I don't want to talk to you no more. I'm not working out with you anymore. I'm not going to the mall with you anymore. It's just where it just gets us so separated and angry that it divides us. And he is somewhat right here where he says that it's a device to divide us. I agree with that. He comes in here one more time. He says, I'm going to stop sharing the show from Facebook and share from YouTube to help promote the YouTube channel. We appreciate that, brother. You trying to help us get more followers and viewers. We truly, truly appreciate that. And then one more time, Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, stop focusing on our differences and focus on the commonalities. That's good. That's all fair game. Good comments by this brother as always. We appreciate him for logging in here. Okay, as we move on to Barrier G. Ego and pride, not supporting one another due to jealousy or competition. And this is in the smaller mom and pop neighborhood convenience stores or whatever kind of businesses they have. It's like, so you know what? I see this elderly brother or I see this elderly sister. They're young or they're old. They're trying to get some money coming in. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to stay out of trouble. I'm not going to support you because I'm afraid if I support you, that's going to take away from my revenue. You know, we have to start looking out for each other, saying, you know what, even if me and you are in the same neighborhood, even if me and you are quote unquote in competition, it's okay to share and buy from each other. That we got to, you see, like you mentioned, the white man and the white woman, for the most part, they've done a good job at staying together and building, and a lot of them don't want any newcomers in because they built so much of a tight relationship. They don't trust outsiders coming in, you know, tearing the stuff up. But like they said, I'm jealous of you because I've been in business for 4 or 5 years, and I feel like if you come in my neighborhood or on the street that I'm doing work at, I feel like you're going to take away all my revenue, and that's just not fair.
Yeah, letting pride stop us from working together and apologizing to people and being nice is a disgrace. Many of us, no matter what we believe, if you think about it, many of us are so egotistical, and we should have an ego. We should be prideful, but I'm talking about we've gone over and beyond. Many of us are so haughty and high-minded. We hide
Uh-oh.
behind we hide behind religious books because we want people to think this. We want people to think that we know everything. We want people to think that we have a corner on truth, and if you're not listening to us, everybody else is wrong. We want
Right.
people to think that we have a special end with this creator when we really don't. We want people to think that we're buddy buddies with this creator, which we don't. So we have problems, and it's like we're grown, and yet we act like children because we don't even support each other because we're jealous. Instead of me supporting you, instead of me helping you, seeing that you're doing something that's going to help the community, I'm gonna pull away from you because I'm jealous of you and I want to be competitive. See, instead of being competitive with the person that you should be competitive with, we're not competitive with them. I'm telling you this, Chaz, now, and I believe this with all my heart. We have some sick people that's living today. Many of us have jobs, many of us have families, many of us have children, many of us have wives, grandchildren, brothers, sisters. But deep down in our soul, Chaz, we have some problems. And we don't want to look deep within our hearts to say, let me work on me. Because when we work on me, I wouldn't be so prideful. I would say, Chaz, what are you doing? Say, man, I'm getting ready to do something positive. So when you tell me what it is, I should be able to say, I'm going to help you. I'm going to throw my full support behind you. But instead, I'm going to say, oh, that's cool. And go right down the street and talk about you like a dog to somebody else about how what you're doing is going to fail. See, this is the problem what we have today.
Here's what I think real quick in a nutshell. I believe that a lot of us, we may not say it out loud, but in our hearts, we are so bitter and we are so spiteful and hateful. We do not want to see the next man or woman get ahead. And that's what I really believe. Now, we may not say it out loud. We may not call people, but like we just said on the screen here, because of jealousy or competition, I'm not going to shop at your shop because I feel like, you know, you're going to get more customers. It's just really jealousy. And people just don't like to see others get ahead. That's
and Chaz, I gotta stay on this too, because my situation that I'm looking at now is all these things, barriers, all these barriers that we're talking about, they've been done to us already. All these things have been done to us. And you mean to tell me after all these years, we picked up what the oppressor has done to us, and now we're doing it to each other? And so we just got this thing that's going on that we have some mental dysfunction, and yet we can't see, we can't afford to be egotistical. We can't afford to be prideful. But we've taken what that man has done to us, and now we're doing it to each other. And this is why I'm telling you, man, this is a sad day, because we are divided and we're falling. We're falling, and these barriers should be talked about more. And we should be saying, I'm going to stop being so egotistical. I'm going to stop being so prideful. But again, we hide behind these books because these books make us feel good, man. These books does something to us every time we open one of them books. It gives us a rush, and it gives us something in us that's really not there. But in our hearts, we think we're there. And this is why we don't even support podcasts and broadcasts like this. We don't even support these types. But when somebody on here foaming at the mouth, talking crazy, swinging from chandeliers, we support them. This is what we stoop to.
We appreciate you, brother, man. You've been on fire tonight as always. Barrier H, class and economic differences. Judging each other based on income, neighborhood, or lifestyle. And you know, this is sad right here. You know, it doesn't really matter. I'm at the point where as long as you have a roof over your head and you got a vehicle, or even if you catch the bus, you ride a bike, you catch the train, subway, whatever. As long as you get to point A and point B, it shouldn't really matter. You should be happy that you have that. But like we said, we tell somebody where we live, and we come over to that person's house, and as soon as we leave, we dogging the person's kitchen out. We dogging their garage out. We're dogging their bathrooms out. We're dogging the bedrooms out. We're dogging the ceilings out. Anything that we can find. And like I said, this is a shame. Or even on certain neighborhoods, people coming over and you tell them, you know, I stay on the south side or I stay on the east side, wherever. Because you're not in a suburb or you're not in a Hollywood neighborhood house on the hills, we start looking down on others. And here's the sad part. And I don't wish this on no one. All it takes is for you to get fired unexpectedly, because these jobs, most of them are at will. Negro, you can get laid off whenever. None of us are safe. And that's the part I get frustrated with. We are all one check away of basically being homeless. And a lot of us think because we got a job, we got a house, or we got a little something, we think that we're better than. This has got to stop, man.
Yeah, Chaz, you threw that curveball on the corner, but I got to knock it out the park because you threw it right on the corner, and it's right where I like it. That's where that curveball is. I'm speaking in metaphors. I've seen this movie that Denzel Washington was in. It's called Fences. And, man, it's an excellent movie because he kept using baseball metaphors, so I picked up on that. Now I'm doing it. But you just threw a great curveball, and I want to knock this thing out the park because that's where I like them curveballs. This is going to be our last subject, the last barrier, and we'll pick it up next week because this is a lot in this. Okay. You said a mouthful, Chaz. Judging each other based on incomes, neighborhoods, or lifestyle. Where you live. Man, I live on the east side. Man, you live over there? As if something's wrong with you. Not realizing that your income is really not your income. It's something that you have that you're not even managing. You don't even know how to manage what you have. Neither do I. So what I'm trying to say is this class, this economic difference, this lifestyle. So you eat lobster, Chaz? Well, I eat fish, man. Y'all dudes that eat lobsters, man. Y'all ain't about the right. So you see what has happened to us is we're like fickle. Our minds, we're fickle in our minds.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want this kind of down home talk. We want people to get on these broadcasts and tell us what we want to hear instead of saying we are divided. This is the most positive, one of the most positive broadcasts I've ever seen, because everything we're saying, do the opposite. We're not going to get on here and tell you what some people tell you. You're great. You're doing great. You haven't never done wrong and everything is going up. No, we are struggling. We have problems. Our minds are screwed up. Many of our lifestyles are messed up. But do the best you can to get it right. Take it a
Yeah.
day at a time. Quit
Yeah.
critiquing and judging people based on neighborhoods. Quit judging them based on their lifestyle. Quit judging them based on their income. Because if it wasn't for your ability, your income wouldn't be where it is. You're not better than someone because you make more money than them.
Right.
You're not worse than somebody because you make less money than them. You're
Right.
not better than somebody because you drive a better car. You're not worse because you drive a hoopty. So
Yeah.
this is what has killed us now, and these kids need to see this in us, because if they don't, Chaz, what they're going to do is grow up and continue the division. And I'm surprised that a lot of people, they know that what we're saying is true, but because they're involved in this. And
Yeah.
again, I will take this to my grave. They're hiding behind a book because that's their blanket. Like on Charlie Brown, there was a guy named Linus. He always had a blanket. That's their blanket, and it makes them feel good. They drag it around with the thumb in their mouths, and this what makes them feel good instead of dropping it and dealing with reality and saying, I don't care what I have. I'm no better than you because you're my brother.
Exactly. And I'm gonna say something real quick and read a couple comments before we get out of here. And I don't wish this on no one. We don't know where this could happen. All it takes is a fatal car crash, a fatal injury, and our lives are altered immediately at the drop of a dime. So no matter how good you think you look, no matter what, like you said, car you drive, anything to happen to any of us, and it can change our lives at the snap of a finger. And I hope people start getting that through their heads, because a lot of us think that we're better than people. Brother Ray fires in here. He says, Black people continue to develop groups to divide us from the main body of Black people. When was the last time it was a Black group designed to unite us? I can't remember the last group that designed to help us. We had the Black Lives Matter, I thought, but that was kind of infiltrated when you look at that. So I really don't really know, but that's a question I can't really answer. He also says he appreciates the show. He appreciates us greatly. We appreciate you, brother, for logging in here, and all the brothers and sisters who've commented and who will watch this on the playback. Sister Barbara says big egos. And Sister Sharon chimes in. She says, yes, I live North Central, and I tell people I live on the poor side of the neighborhood. And that's okay, Sister Sharon. That is okay. You doing what you got to do to feed yourself. If you have kids, that is good. Don't let these people, because here's the thing. It's always somebody that's going to say something, whether you're doing good or bad. And if you have enough courage to tell people you live in the hood, that's good. Don't be ashamed of that. Sister Barbara, she fires in here. She said, well said, Kings. The show is spot on. Brother, I appreciate you, man. We had a good broadcast as always. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I want to say this to those brothers and sisters out there, that one of the answers to our division is, if you look at the Nguzo Saba, which are principles, the principles of Kawanza. If you just do your own research of the Nguzo Saba and look at those principles, and those principles are going to help unite us. They're going to help us economically, they're going to help us socially, they're going to help us fundamentally. It talks about unity, self-determination, cooperative economics. It goes on and on. It talks about, just us as a people, what we need to do. And I think that a lot of us, we don't look at the principles that unite us, because we're so caught up in what this person has taught us all of our lives that we're really no good to ourselves. And so we have to look at all of that. We have to look at creativity. We have to look at faith. But when I say faith, we must look at faith in the leaders, those who came before us, those who put their lives on the line to teach us, to show us, to demonstrate to us what we have to do to be a positive, a progressive people. See, we have gotten to the point now, Chaz, where, and I'm glad we're going to pick it up next week because there's much more to be said. We've gotten
Yeah.
to the point now where we can't have serious discussions, because
Yeah.
most of our minds are so small. And I don't mean this to put anybody down. I mean small in that we're not interested. We're not interested in taking up the mantle and saying, I want to be a positive person. I want to help my community. I want to help my culture. I want to help my identity. You know, I want to help those people who are in the situation they're in and they want to do better. This is what we got to do, Chazz. And it's sad that we've come to this part, but we'll pick it up next week on this divided. We are falling, Chaz. We are falling. And a lot of us don't want to admit it because we always want to act like everything is going great. But if we just open up our eyes, we'll see we're in trouble, man. And our
Yeah.
children and our children's children, if we don't do things better, if we don't talk like we're talking now, if we don't lift up people and be honest about the community, if we don't tell the truth about these religious books, if we don't tell the truth about ourselves, we are going down the wrong road, man. And someone has to stand up and say, we love you, but we've got to be honest. We've got to be honest. That's true. The 32 principles of Ma'at, all of these principles were left before us. So these are principles that we need. That's positive. It's not about a religion. It's about being true to these principles and obeying them. And so I thank Brother Raymond for putting that in. There's other principles too, because you can get them from everywhere. But
Right.
living them is the problem, not just knowing them, Chaz, because we know we can quote the 10 Commandments. We can quote the Sermon on the Mount. We can quote the principles of Ma'at. We can quote the Nguzo Saba. We can quote the Tripitaka. We can quote all that. But
Right.
are we living it, Chaz? That's the question I'm asking myself. I got to do better at living it instead of talking about it. And I think most of the people that's watching this broadcast, they're in the same boat that I'm in and that you're in, and that is there's too much division among us, and a lot of us are chicken. We're chicken. We don't want to talk about how do we fix this. We want to hide behind these cell phones, hide behind these buildings, and form cliques that's never going to confront our issues that we have today.
That's well said. And I learned a lot today. I appreciate you for having me on, all the viewers. If you guys did not check this one out live, you are more than welcome to check it out on a playback. But as it says on the bottom, divided, we are falling, the barriers among us. There's so many barriers. The race barrier, the money barrier, the crab in the barrel barrier. All these things, what side of town I live on, what school I attended, what college I attended. And because of these things, you mean to tell me when you tell me that information about where you went to college, I'm going to treat you like crap? I mean, this is insane. We have to say, you know what? I'm glad you tried to get your education or whatever, but I'm not going to let that determine. And to me, I'm going to go ahead and say this real quick. If a person has to decide how they treat you because of where you live or what school or high school you went to, I think that's fake. I would have to say that person is fake. And that's where a lot of this love is now. A lot of this love is not real. It's fake. It's materialistic. It's because of how much money a person has. They, be loyal to them. But if that person, like I said earlier, gets in a car crash, they'll stop loving that individual. I mean, this stuff is crazy, but we have to look at the bigger barrier. And the bigger barrier is not always us. The bigger barrier is the people who run this world, brother. They got so many agendas, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2045. I could go on and on, but the thing is, they're putting all this on us, and we're so silly instead of me and you saying, you know what? Let's try to fight this agenda. We may not win, but let's fight this thing tooth and nail. No, these people got it so schemed up to where they got us going at each other when it's really not us, it's really them. And that's all I pretty much had to say. I hope to see you guys next week. And please, if you did not check this one out live, please check it out on the broadcast. And we appreciate all the viewers as always.